Hello and happy Sunday morning to all my fellow NFL gamblers. This is the PHLY Bet Show Week 9 edition, which always makes me a little sad to say out loud because we are buzzing through this NFL season. But of course, we are presented by our friends at Bet365. Find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Enter promo code PHLY365. Tons of awesome odds boosts, including our own PHLY custom boosts. It's like 10,000 boosts every single month to help you out. So make sure you're taking advantage of that promo code. And if you or someone you know wants or needs help, you can call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And please gamble responsibly. This is supposed to be fun, people. Not something to put your kid through college with. But maybe we can do that. Just hit a couple long shot parlays, and there we go. So make sure you're having fun. I'm here to help educate you and give you some information on these games. I am not a handicapper by any means. I am not going to ever tell you, I'm hitting 68% of all my bets over the last 3 weeks. Got to get in now. Not going to do that. I'm an idiot. We're here to bet on football and have fun. All right, as we start out, just some league trends and things that are going on in the NFL. I always like to throw these out because I do think they tell a pretty important story. So how teams are faring outside division play, because now we're in the nitty gritty of division play time. You know, the first couple weeks of the season is more out of division play. Now you're like NFC North is going to beat each other up. Finally, NFC East will kind of take shape here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So the NFC North is the best against outside division play. They were 18-7 against the spread. AFC West was second. They were 14-6 against the spread. The worst, and keep that in mind today, the AFC East at 5-15-1. NFC South, no good, out of division, 6-14 against the spread. The AFC's East 5-15-1 mark through 8 weeks is the second worst in the wild card era. So the AFC East is going through it. We did pick the Jets on Thursday's edition of PHLY Bets, so maybe they're turning a corner. Probably not. It has been an underdog world. Doggies are barking all over this season. Now, dogs on the money line of plus 200 or higher, they're just 15-24 straight up. But against the spread, they're 23-14-2. Dogs on the money line of plus 250 and higher, 9-11 straight up. But again, against that spread, 12-7-1. So big dogs are covering a lot of spreads, not on the money lines, but on the spreads. So keep that in mind. Teams after facing the Lions, and this is one of the all-time weird stats, are 0-6 against the spread in their next game, failing to cover by an average of 19.3 points per game, and are 14-25 against the spread over the last 3 seasons, which is wild. And that's telling you to bet the Patriots this weekend. All right, let's get it kicked off as we do with Eagles and Jaguars. Doug Pederson returns to Philadelphia for a second time since leaving the Eagles, and the Jaguars are going through it this year. They're 2-6. They have talent on the team. I think Ross Tucker said the Jets and the Jaguars are the most talented bad teams in football, and I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Trevor Lawrence, obviously number 1 pick, talent with Bigsby and ETN. We'll have to check on the status of Brian Thomas, the phenomenal rookie wide receiver there. But the Jags do have talent. They just haven't put it together at all. Trevor Lawrence on the road, not good. At home, he has a career 67 completion percentage for about 9 yards on average with 104 passer rating. On the road, that drops down to 58% completion percentage, 5.8 yards an attempt, and an 84 passer rating. So Trevor Lawrence certainly better in Jacksonville than on the road. The Eagles have played 8 games so far. This is pretty simple when you put it like that. A.J. Brown has played in 4 of them, and they're 4-0 straight up, averaging 27 points per game. When he doesn't, they're 1-2 straight up, averaging just 17 points a game. So A.J. Brown, phenomenal wide receiver. Jalen Hurts' a security blanket, and getting up there with Lane Johnson in terms of absurd win-losses with and without. In his career, Jalen Hurts has been great at home against the spread, but not recently. He's 1-4 straight up and 0-5 against the spread in his last 5 home starts. Hurts has only had 6 against the spread home losses prior to this stretch. He was 17-6-1. Now he's lost 5 in a row. So do with that information what you will. As my dumb brain goes, well, that just means he's due to beat it. It's not going to go 6. It's not going to go 7. It's not going to go, I'll be saying that at the 13th straight game he hasn't covered at home. As a favorite of over 7 or more points, Hurts is 3-8-1 against the spread, 1-8 against the spread in his last 9 starts in this situation. For his career, Jalen Hurts at home is 17-11-1. He's the 4th best quarterback of 104 quarterbacks since 2020. On the road, neutral sites, he's 14-19-1 against the spread, which is the 3rd worst of those 109 quarterbacks since 2020. So there you have it with the game. Currently, right now on Bet365, the Eagles are 7.5. I've seen this as high as 9 during the course of the week. Over-under on this one is 46. To lay the Eagles on the money line, you got to lay minus 350. I put together a little same-game parlay for this game. We'll share with you at the end, but I do like the Eagles. I don't love the Eagles to cover this number. I hate those big numbers, but I do think the Eagles keep it rolling here. Good team versus a bad team. Don't overthink it. Give me the Eagles. Next up, Dallas at Atlanta, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Falcons currently a 3-point favorite. Over-under on this one is 52. Got to lay minus 170 to get the Falcons on the money line. The Dallas passing attack sucks. It is horrible. For the last 2-3 years, they averaged 4th in EPA per play on dropbacks, 4th in success rate on dropbacks. Well, this year, they're down to 23rd on EPA per play on dropbacks, 22nd in success rate on dropbacks. That's terrible. They're 3-9 against the spread in their last 12, tied for the worst mark in the NFL during that span. Dak, he has not been a good underdog in his career either. Dak is 17-20 against the spread in his career, but 2-10 against the spread as an underdog in his last 12 starts. Since 2020, he's 4-12 against the spread as a dog. The only quarterbacks worse, Bryce Young, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. That is not great company to be in. And the other thing about Dallas sucking this year is their run defense. Terrible. Dallas has allowed 12 rushing touchdowns, the 2nd most in the NFL behind only the Panthers. You don't really want to be surrounded by the Panthers in any statistical category this year. Dallas is 32nd in rush EPA per play and 31st in rush success rate. So keep that in mind with Bijan. You might want to look at his player props. I like his over on this one. I believe it was 82.5. So you can get some good numbers there on the running back attacking the Dallas defense. Totals of 50 plus, which this one is, are 6-4 to the under on the year. Over the last 5 seasons, Kirk Cousins is 15-20 against the spread, playing, or 15-28 against the spread playing indoors, including 2-11 against the spread in his last 13 games. So Kirk's still figuring out the dome a little bit there. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons here, minus the 3. Dallas has given me, their season's kind of on the line. So if you're that type of bettor, but there's just too much bad stuff going on in Dallas, give me the Falcons. It'll probably be a close game. I do like the over. So give me the Falcons. All right, this is one of the games of the week, and he was the cover boy on the thumbnail here. Lamar Jackson at home, the Denver Broncos coming to town. Now, Bo Nix, the last 2-3 weeks, has kind of turned a corner, playing some decent football. He is 4-0 against the spread in his young career on the road, covering by an average of 13 points so far. Now, it's not all Bo Nix. Denver's defense is elite. They are allowing just 15 points per game, which is the 3rd best mark in the NFL, including just 6 points per game in the second half. Last year, they allowed 13 points per game in the second half. So this Denver defense is humming. They are 1st in EPA per play, 3rd in success rate, and including both categories against the pass as well. And Lamar, well, he's 4-0 against the spread last year, coming off of a straight-up loss In 2024, so far in that same spot, he's just 1-1 after a loss. In his career, Lamar is just 10-11 against the spread after that straight-up loss, including 6-2 against the spread at a road or neutral site and 4-9 against the spread at home after a loss. I'm taking the Broncos in this one. Currently on Bet365, the Broncos are plus 9.5. Over-under is 46.5. You can get the Broncos. If you think they'll pull it off entirely, I don't think they will, but you can get that plus 375. If you're a man that likes to bet on, or a woman that likes to bet on good defenses, that plus 375 might intrigue you a little bit. But I do think the Ravens win. Just think that number is too high. So give me the points in the dog there with the Denver Broncos. All right, next up, the LA Chargers head to Cleveland to take on Jameis Winston and the Browns. Chargers minus 1.5. Over-under on this one is 42. You can get the Chargers on the money line for the cheap price of minus 125. I'm going with the Chargers in this one. I think the Jameis magic runs out week 2. We'll see. The Browns are certainly a fun bet to make right now because Jameis Winston is absolutely hilarious. Since the start of last year, the Chargers are a cash machine on the under. The under is 18-6 in the last 24 Chargers games, the best mark of any team in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh and his track record, well, he also is a good coach for unders. Over the last 3 years as a coach in the NFL, that's with the Niners and the Chargers, the under is 27-14-1 in games he coaches. So a lot there to bet the under, although life is too short to bet unders. I don't do it personally. There's a lot of smart money to be made on unders. So keep that in mind. Looking specifically at Justin Herbert, he's been playing some good football. Doesn't have a ton of help in the wide receiver department. Offensive line could do a little better for him. He's still slinging the ball pretty well. He's also an under machine. He's 16-4 to the under since the start of last season, the best mark of any quarterback in the NFL, including 16-2 to the under in the last 18 starts. And let that one sink in, because if you're like me, if I didn't have this information, I go, well, Justin Herbert, well, at least in years past when they had good wide receivers, Justin Herbert, the Chargers offense, they're going to light it up. They're going to put up a ton of points. You just think of them as an over team because they have a good young quarterback and historically have had good wide receivers. The opposite is actually true. So let that one nestle in your brain cage and sit there and fester, because you should be betting unders in Chargers games. It's the Jameis Winston show in Cleveland now. Since 2013, this will be the 65th game played by a backup quarterback for the Browns. That is unbelievable. The most in the NFL over that span by 15 games. They got the huge emotional win last week. I think this is a letdown spot. Give me the Chargers minus the 1.5 here on the road in Cleveland. All right, next up, the Las Vegas Raiders. I can't do a Chris Berman voice without really stressing out my vocal cords there. Damn. Let me take a sip of coffee. I don't know how Berman does that week in and week out. The Raiders. All right, well, the Raiders are plus 7. Over-under on this one is 45. Plus 270 on the money line. Going into Cincy and Joe Burrow and company licking their wounds after that Eagles beatdown last week. Well, the Raiders have as playing as a team on 12 days or more rest since 2016. All teams, not just the Raiders, are 58% straight up and 59% against the spread over a 230-game sample. In 2024 so far, they're 8-4 straight up and 8-3-1 against the spread. The Raiders have those 12 days of rest. I don't know if that's enough to encourage you to bet on that just bleep show out there. The Raiders currently lead the NFL in turnovers with 17. The Raiders are the third team to fall behind in double digits in each of their first 8 games in the wild card era. The only other 2 teams with that honor are the 2013 Jaguars and 2000 Cardinals. I'm going to set a Brock Bowers prop alert here. Brock Bowers continues to be the main target in Vegas this year. He has 65 targets and 52 receptions through 8 career games, giving him the most of any tight end all time in the rookie year. So if you like player props, Brock Bowers, look at his overs. That's kind of all they got out there. As an underdog of 6 points or more, the Raiders coach Antonio Pierce is 5-1 against the spread, including 4-0 against the spread when that game's on the road. As an underdog of 6 points or more, yes, we just read that for you. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to go with the Bengals. That being said, Antonio Pierce, welcome back to reality. Bengals coming off the win. It's a little bit bigger of a line than I'd like to lay. I would wish that was like 5. But that being said, give me the Bengals still. All right, next up, the Miami Dolphins head to the Buffalo Bills. Miami is +6 on Bet365 right now. Over-under is 49.5. You can get the Dolphins at +225. Now, Josh Allen absolutely owns the Miami Dolphins. Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa have faced off 7 times in their career entering this weekend. Josh Allen is 7-1 straight up, 5-2-1 against the spread in those games. Tua is Josh Allen's most profitable opposing quarterback against the spread in his career. I'm a sucker for trends like that. I will bet those trends until it flips. Like I just believe in that stuff. Josh Allen has played 4 home games versus Tua in his career, and he's put up 26, 32, 48, and 56 points. Miami cannot win in Buffalo. They are 0-7 straight up against the spread against Josh Allen in Buffalo. Dating back to last year, Tua has now lost 6 consecutive games against the spread. As a road dog, Tua is 2-10 in his last 12 starts in that spot. What else do I have to tell you? Give me the Bills. I'll lay that there with Josh Allen because history tells me to. That's why. -6, it feels about right. You know, any lower, I would think that's trappish. Any higher, I'd be a little hesitant. So I think that number's fair. All right, this one's kind of gross. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. The New England Patriots are +3.5, traveling to Tennessee. Over-under on this one is a gross 38, +155 if you want the Patriots. I do want the Patriots. Give me that +155 on the money line. Will Levis stinks. He's made 14 starts in his NFL career. He is 9-5 in the first half against the spread, but just completely unravels in the second half, and that's not a good trend. He's 2-12 second half against the spread in his career. So if you want to wait till halftime, do that. Outside of Monday Night Football, where Levis actually showed up, he is 0-12 second half against the spread in his career. On a normal prep of 7 days or fewer, Will Levis is 1-7 straight up against the spread. Levis has scored more than 17 points just once in those 8 games. Give me the Pats. Gross. Moving on. Saints at Panthers. This game also kind of sucks a little bit. But Derek Carr is at least back for the Saints. We don't have to watch Spencer Rattler anymore. Without Derek Carr, they went 0-3 against the spread, outscored 110-45, failing to cover the spread by 17 points. Derek Carr has faced the Panthers 5 times in his career. He's 5-0 straight up, 3-1-1 against the spread. Saints defense has really taken a turn for the worse. They've now allowed 26 points in 5 straight games, the first time they've done that since 2014. This is also a bad of mutual bad defenses, as the Saints and Panthers have both allowed over 26 points as in 5 straight games. This is the Panthers' 29th consecutive game as an underdog, including being an underdog of 38 of their last 39 games. Since Christmas of last year, the Panthers are just 1-9 straight up and 1-9 against the spread. I didn't want to bet the Saints because Derek Carr posted like an incredibly cheesy picture of him in a bulletproof vest without his face, being like, I guess it's time to go back to war. I don't know. I wanted to fade him, but how can you bet on the Carolina Panthers? You can't. So give me the Saints in this one. All right, an NFC East battle. The Washington Commanders in the last 1 o'clock game of the day are -4 as they head to New York. Over-under on this one is 44. Commanders -210 right now on Bet365 on the money line. Since 2000, this is the 6th touchdown with no time left that a team is coming off of, basically a walk-off play in the NFL, which is really rare. The last time was actually Derek Carr to Michael Crabtree in 2017. The previous 5 teams are 1-4 straight up in their next game after that last second win, and 3 of those 4 losses are by 7 points or more. All that's kind of telling me is that that emotional high a team comes off of, kind of impossible to meet the next week. One of the reasons Washington has been good this year, third down efficiency. They're completing nearly 46.5%, which is the 4th best mark in the NFL. This is the Giants' 24th consecutive game as an underdog, the second longest active streak. We just talked about the previous one, the Panthers, who were the worst. 5 straight Giants home games have gone under the total. That's because Daniel Jones stinks at home. He's actually decent on the road, terrible at home. So again, another trend for under bettors there. Daniel Jones is 5-2-1 straight up and 6-2 against the spread in his career versus Washington. So one of those teams he shows up against, but 20-41 straight up, 29-32 against everyone else in the NFL. So there's a little Daniel Jones belief in you. Brian Daboll, the coach of the Giants, is 4-1 against the spread against Washington in his career, covering the spread by 8.5 points. I don't know. It's gross, but give me the New York Giants plus the 4 at home. I don't like that at all, but I did it. All right, the 4 o'clock slate kicks off with the Chicago Bears traveling to the desert. They are +1 in Arizona. Over-under on this one is 44.5. The Bears are +105 on the money line. Caleb Williams in his 7 starts. The under is 1-3 in his home starts and 3-0 in his road starts. So another trend for an under, with Chicago scoring 16 points or less in all 3 of those road games. On the road on a Sunday, the Bears have lost 18 consecutive games dating back to the day after Christmas 2021. And who was that quarterback? Well, that was Nick Foles, of course. Since then, the quarterbacks that have come up short in that spot on the road on a Sunday, Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, Trevor Siemian, Tyson Bagent, and Caleb Williams have all lost in that spot since Nick Foles was able to do it. Well, Nick Foles is just great. Teams traveling from a road game in the Eastern time zone back to Mountain or Pacific time over the last decade are 60-86-1 against the spread, only 41%. Give me the Bears. And then if you're just give me the money line. You know, it's not great, +105, but I don't have to worry about the point. So you're fine either way. It's just, do you want to lay -110 to get that point that possibly could win you, or do you want to just get 105 and not worry about the points? Up to you. Jaguars and Eagles are next. We already covered that one. And then one of the other games of the week, the Detroit Lions at Green Bay. Detroit Lions are -2.5. Over under on this one, 47.5. -155 if you want to lay the Lions. Now, the Packers had a real spicy locker room this week because Detroit has been blowing people out. And a couple of the Packers defenders came out and said, yeah, we're not playing that ish. We're going to be ready. We're going to be fired up for this. This is going to be a good NFC North battle. Really looking forward to this game. That being said, I'm going to take the Packers, actually. Give me the home dog plus the 2.5 in this matchup. Here's some trends and information for you. The role of the favorite hasn't been too kind to Jordan Love. That doesn't apply here. He is the home dog. But as a underdog in his career, he is 10-6 against the spread, only 4-6 against the spread as a favorite. So Jordan Love plays a little better when he's an underdog. He does have a little bit of a banged up knee. There's a possibility Malik Willis could play. So you got to keep your eye on that one closer to game time. We'll see if Malik Willis has to come in. Obviously, that changes probably my pick and a little bit of everything, but Malik Willis did look pretty good so far under Matt LaFleur. In his starts for Love this year, they covered the spread by 14 points. In his career, Willis is actually 4-1 against the spread, covering on average by 7 points a game. So maybe, I don't know. Dan Campbell, though, there's some numbers here about Detroit that is unbelievable. Dan Campbell is 45-25 against the spread as coach of the Dolphins and Lions. He's covering 64% of his career starts. That is the best for any head coach with a minimum of 20 games in the Super Bowl era. Dan Campbell. Damn, Daniel. Does anybody get that? That's way online stuff. The Lions are 41-17 against the spread, 70 8.7% in the regular season over the past 4 years. That is the best 3-year against the spread stretch since the 2016 through 18 New England Patriots. And as of now, the best 4-year against the spread stretch for any team in the wild card era since 1990. The Lions are a cover machine, folks. And Jared Goff, this is where I'm leaning Packers slightly. Jared Goff is a cover machine. Again, this goes into the way the public thinks about Jared Goff, and they view him as kind of like this loser. And he's actually a very competent to good quarterback with a good team around him. Indoors in his career, Jared Goff is a cover machine. 41-18 against the spread. Outdoors, just 36-35-2. That being said, just give me the Packers more on vibes. I like to see that spicy locker room this week. So I'm going with the Packers in this one. Should be a great one. All right, Rams at Seahawks. Rams are currently -1. Over-under on this one is 48, -120 if you want to lay them on the money line. Dating back to the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl in 2022, Sean McVay is 0-8-1 against the spread on extended rest as coach of the Rams, where they are now. Since the beginning of last season, Geno Smith is just 3-9 against the spread at home, the worst mark of any active quarterback in the NFL. Geno has struggled mightily to cover the spread, no matter the location, home or road. He is just 4-11-2 against the spread in his last 17 total starts. The least profitable against the spread quarterback of 74 quarterbacks in that span. That's no joke. Sean McVay is 28-18-1 against the NFC West. Against everybody else, just 40-43-3 against the spread. Sean McVay is 6-10 against the spread versus the Niners, but versus the rest of the conference, the Cardinals and Seahawks, he's a combined 22-8-1. Give me the Rams in this one. Not going to overthink that much here. Geno Smith, those are some eye-popping against the spread numbers. All right, Colts at Vikings. I mean, I guess there's a little intrigue because Joe Flacco, that was a terrible. Joe Flacco is quarterbacking the Colts, not Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has just been horrible this year. That new dude needs a year on the bench to process the NFL before they give him another shot. And that's what they said they're going to do. The Minnesota Vikings are -5.5 at home. Over-under on this one is 46.5. This is the Sunday night football game. And Joe Flacco in his career has a 50.2 completion percentage on 217 pass attempts. Excuse me, this is Anthony Richardson. He has a 50.2% completion on 217 pass attempts. Anthony Richardson's 50% mark is the 5th lowest of quarterbacks with 10 starts and 200 pass attempts. Now, Joe Flacco has turned this offense around a little bit. They're now in his one start. They rank 6th in EPA per play, or actually he might have had 2 because I think he had a spot start earlier. 18th in success rate and 11th in completion percentage over expectation. Richardson was 34th, 38th, and 42nd in those 3 categories. So complete night and day. In Flacco's last 7 starts for the Colts and Browns, he's 6-1 against the spread, and it's slated to be the biggest line as an underdog since September of 2022 for the Jets. The Colts have played 17 one-score games under head coach Shane Steichen, and they're 10-7 straight up, but 13-4 against the spread. So if you think this is a one-score game, then you might want to sprinkle a little on Joe Flacco. 3rd in EPA per play, 6th in success rate, 6th in EPA per drop back is the Vikings defense, and 1st in EPA per rush. Give me the Vikings in this one. Kind of Joe Flacco magic can only carry you so far. I'll take the -5.5. All right, and then on Monday Night Football, we got we got the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Kansas City Chiefs. Monday Night Football overs on the year are 8-3. Patrick Mahomes, tale of 2 halves for this guy. He is 11-1 in the second half against the spread in his last 12 starts. But the inverse is they're starting slow. They are 1-6 against the first quarter spread this year, the second worst mark just behind the Eagles. So if you're a quarter or halves better, you could probably make some money betting against the Chiefs in the first quarter or first half. Part of the Chiefs' success has been their defense. they're allowing 27 points or less in 28 consecutive games, the longest for any team since the 2005 Ravens, who did so 29 straight times. If the regular season and Baker Mayfield on Monday Night Football, it's happened 7 times. He is 1-6 straight up and 0-5 straight up and against the spread when listed as the dog. Give me the Chiefs in this one. They haven't been covering in a pretty fashion, but they always seem to get it done. -9. I could just see the Bucs kind of folding a little bit there. There you have it. There's the slate of Sunday NFL action. Hopefully some of this information you find helpful. Hopefully we can take some of Bet365's money and enjoy it responsibly. So, of course, use promo code PHLY365 at sign up. Get those $200 in bonus bets and have a good time with it. Gamble responsibly. Let's make some money. Let's pick some winners. Have a great weekend. Enjoy week 9 of the NFL action with our friends over at Bet365. I'll see you next time here on the PHLY Bet Show.
We all silly like the mayor.